What's going on, guys? Alex here with TFL, and I'm here in California taking a look at this, the 2022 Volvo XC60. It's Volvo's best-selling car. It's their mid-size luxury SUV, and for 2022 they've made a number of changes, including giving it a facelift, new tech, and new powertrain. So in this video we're going to take a deep dive into all that, take it for a drive. Let's take a look at this new XC60. So let's start off with the powertrain, because that is one of the biggest changes for 2022. Volvo is now bringing their mild hybrid platforms to the US. So gone are the old T5 and T6 powertrains. They're now replaced by the B5 and B6. This one happens to be the B6. So it's a similar setup to what we saw last year. You still have the same 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, and with the B6 version, just like the T6 of last year, you get a supercharger. Now they're calling it an e-charger, but now it is combined with their mild hybrid system. So you have a 48-volt battery and an electric motor. It's going to recover some of your brake energy to recharge that battery, and this mild hybrid system is supposed to make for a smoother and more refined drive, lower fuel consumption, especially in the city, lower emissions, better acceleration, and reduced emissions. If you go with the B5 powertrain, you're going to get 250 horsepower, 258 foot-pounds of torque, and then this B6 with the e-charger, that gets you 295 horsepower and 310 foot-pounds of torque. You still can get the T8 Recharge, the plug-in hybrid, but that's not what we're looking at today, just the mild hybrids. And no matter which powertrain you choose on the XC60, you're gonna get an 8-speed automatic transmission. And here's my little cheat sheet from EPA.gov right here to look at the fuel economy between the two models this year and last year. So right here, this is the one I'm looking at, the one I'm driving today, the B6, and you're looking at 21 city, 27 highway, and 24 combined. On the outgoing model, without the mild hybrid system with this same powertrain, you're looking at 20 city, 27 highway, and 23 combined. So definitely looks like a slight improvement in fuel economy with this new mild hybrid system. And I also did want to mention that the B6 is only available in all-wheel drive, whereas the B5 you can get in either front wheel or all-wheel drive. All right, so time to get this Volvo XC60 with the new B6 mild hybrid system out on the road. And first, let's just talk about the ride. It's a luxury SUV, so everything's super smooth. It feels just really comfortable to cruise around on this, especially on these roads I'm on now, which have a lot of tight switchbacks, and yeah, just a nice, comfortable ride. Now, it is turbocharged, and it has the e-charger, which replaces the supercharger that was on the T6 from last year. But I'm about to cruise up this little hill here, and I'm gonna kind of plant my foot and see what it does. So coming around the turn, I'm gonna step into it a little bit. And yeah, it sounds pretty good. It's relatively quiet, but it definitely takes off. I mean, it's a quick SUV. It's not a sports car. It doesn't, you know, go crazy down the road, but for climbing these mountain roads, it's definitely kind of fun. All right, let's talk about design, because like I said, this did get a slight facelift when you compare it to last year, but it definitely still looks like an XC60. So you still have the Thor's Hammer LED headlights up front, but you do have a new grille design for this year, and it looks pretty good in this gloss black trim. Some of the front bumper lines have been kind of reshaped a little bit. It looks a little bit more aggressive than last year, especially in this R design trim. But overall, really sharp looking car. Definitely like the white on black contrast that this one has. Wheel design is new, so they look pretty good. You of course have the taillights that kind of extend up the D-pillar. That's a classic for the XC60. And also, you'll notice that down here in the back, you can't see any tailpipes. Volvo is trying to remove any tailpipes or any sort of design that points towards CO2 emissions. They're trying to remove that. Since this is a mild hybrid, you don't see any tailpipes anymore. Some people will either love that or hate that. I'll let you make your own decision on that. But overall, I think this is a pretty sharp looking car. All All right, let's jump inside this XC60. So Volvo calls this their Scandinavian interior design, and they focus on natural materials. But I have to say, it really does feel really nice in here. You have these really nice kind of navy blue Napa leather seats. You have some nice details up here on the dash. Just a really good focus on quality materials. Everything looks pretty premium. Nice stitching line up here on the top of the dash. Overall, I think interior design in this XC60 is top notch. You don't have a starter button in the XC60, instead you have this little knob. So foot on the brake, you turn that over to the side, and the vehicle will come to life. Turn the music down here with the big old volume knob in the center. We'll get to that in a second. But now you can see the digital cluster and the infotainment screen right here. And really what you need to know about these is that they look pretty much the same as they did last year, but all the internals of them and how they work have been redesigned. So this 9-inch cluster has a different look to it now, and I really like it. It's pretty sharp, easy to see everything you need to see. Your maps come up nicely here, and overall it's just presented really nicely. Really easy to see the fuel gauge down there, and then you've got your tachometer over on the right hand side, speedometer over on the left. It even tells you the speed limit there. I've also got a heads up display right here showing me the same information right there. This has all been redone too. This is a system Volvo's been using in some of their other cars, but now it has made its way to the XC60. So this is an Android operating system on the infotainment system, and I am really a big fan of this. I was pretty curious about how this would work, but it works really well. So just like you would have on, you know, an old school iPhone, you have a big home button down below that will bring you to your home screen. And this works just like an Android tablet basically. So you can go into Maps, it's all super responsive, and you can see I'm in the LA area right now. But you don't even have to press anything. I can just say, hey Google, get me directions to the Santa Monica Pier.
Santa Monica Pier is 50 minutes from your location by car in light traffic.
And just like that, it's getting me directions. So a lot of infotainment systems, you have to talk like you're a robot. Because this uses Google, it is extremely natural. It really has an easy time understand what you're trying to say, and it's just super easy to use. So I'm a big fan of that system so far. I'm also a pretty big Spotify fan, so I like that I can go in here and without even signing in, I have access to a lot of different pre-made Spotify playlists. So I've been listening to one of these 90s rock anthems channels all morning, but pretty cool. You can go through there, and because it's all internet radio using Spotify, you have media controls down here, so it's really easy to skip tracks and play pause. And normally I wouldn't love play pause and skip tracks and stuff being the main controls, you know, if I had regular Sirius XM or whatever, but because this is internet radio, it makes a lot of sense to have these controls right here. Now you also have the Google Play Store, so you can get a ton of different apps in here. I'm not going to sign into this system because it's not my car and I don't want everyone having my Google account, but you can add, you know, all the regular apps you would want to this. You also have some more general information like tire pressure, service reminders, stuff like that. So it still does the basic car stuff. You can connect your phone, do, you know, Bluetooth streaming, all that kind of stuff, but I really like how advanced the system is using Google. It's really cool. Now you also have a camera button down here for your views, so you can see the backup camera right there, but I also have a 360-degree view, so you get a nice top-down view right there, and you can even switch to the front cameras or the side cameras as well if you're trying to park or see something with a bit more detail. Other than that, everything's really self-explanatory and easy to access. So I can tap down here to get to my climate settings, close that. I can click in and get to my heated steering wheel and heated seat. It's all super easy to use, super responsive. And Volvo and Google are offering 4 years of data included when you buy one of these. So after 4 years, you'll probably have to get a data plan or just switch back to using your phone. But for the first 4 years, they're covering your data. Pretty cool. Just a couple of other details. You have a Qi wireless charger right here, so you can charge your phone up wirelessly. Bowers & Wilkins sound system, which sounds really good, and the speakers look pretty good too. I like the speaker grills they put on them, but it's a really good sounding system. Rear view mirrors, just a regular mirror. At least this one that I'm driving isn't optioned with a smart mirror, but a lot of vehicles are using those nowadays, and it's kind of something I expected to see. And something else I wanted to talk about is the shifter. A lot of manufacturers are moving to digital shifters like this. I don't mind it, and I get why they're doing it, but one thing I find really weird with the Volvo system is that when you're in park, if you want to get to drive, you have to pull back twice. And then once you're in drive, if you want to get to reverse, you have to push forward twice. So if you can see, I'm in reverse right now, and if I pull back once, it's going to put me into neutral. I don't know about you, but I don't use neutral all that often. I'd prefer to just pull back once and push forward once to go into reverse. I'm sure if you own this car and it was your daily driver, you'd get used to that pretty quickly. I just find it a little bit odd. And lastly, to wrap up the interior, a nice big panoramic sunroof so you can get some nice views while you're driving down the coast like I am. This also has Volvo's latest advanced driver assistance systems, which uses a collection of radars, cameras, and ultrasonic sensors to keep you safe on the road. So it has automatic braking, collision avoidance, gentle driver support from a standstill up to highway speeds with pilot assist. There's a couple new things for 2022. So the first one is a ready to drive notification. So if you're sitting at a red light, maybe you get distracted by your phone and the person in front of you starts moving, you're sitting still at a green light, it should give you a little notification letting you know it's time to drive before the person behind you lays on the horn. There's also emergency stop assist, which can detect, medical emergencies, let's say. So if you're having a heart attack, it should help you pull over on the side of the road safely. A lot of those sensors live up front in the grille inside of the Volvo badge, and this badge is actually heated, so in a snowstorm when it ices over, it should keep itself clear and keep all your safety systems working. Taking a look at the backseat area of this XC60, very similar design. You have the same nice materials on the seat and everything. Air vents for the rear passengers in the B pillars. Yeah, I'm gonna hop in right here, sitting behind myself. I've got plenty of room, lots of knee room. You do have a little display right here for giving rear passengers control of their own climate. But yeah, not much to say about the rear seat other than it's comfortable and there's a decent amount of room. And then let's pop open the rear hatch too, take a look at the trunk space, and it's pretty massive back here. You can fit a lot of stuff back here. So if you're trying to move cargo around with your XC60, probably aren't gonna have many problems. And also this vehicle has air suspension, so you can actually hold this button right here and the rear end will drop down. I don't know if you can see that in the wheel well there, just a couple of inches to make it easier to load things in and out. A really cool feature. I'm pulling up to a stop sign and I'm hoping the start-stop system is gonna work. And it did. Completely silent. Now I'm letting off of the brake and coming to a start, and that is super, super seamless. Personally, my daily driver is a Ram 1500, and I know that's a completely different vehicle, but I also have a mild hybrid system on my pickup truck. It's the eTorque system from Ram, and that is not nearly as smooth or as quiet as this. You definitely feel a little bit of a rumbling when you let off the brake and the gasoline motor kicks back in. So this is much more seamless. I have a tendency of hitting the cancel button on the auto start stop in my truck just because I don't like the noises it makes. I don't like how rough it is. But with this, you barely notice it. It is super quiet. It works more in the background. So yeah, it works pretty well, and it's supposed to save you a little bit of fuel, so nothing to complain about there. You really don't feel it coming back to life. You do feel the engine shutting down when you stop at a stop sign, but once you let off the brake and get going again, that action of the engine kicking back on is just so seamless. I don't know if I've ever been in a car where it's this smooth. It's really good. Overall, just a comfortable, enjoyable vehicle, and I really am loving this Google system that I'm driving with. I'm not just saying that. The fact that I have Spotify on here without logging in, and I can skip through tracks, whereas, with the radio station, you're kind of stuck with what you get. It's really nice, and I'm able to just plug in my GPS destinations without pressing any buttons. All I need to say is hey and then the G word. I'm not going to say it right now because otherwise the car will start listening to me, but it's super easy to use, and I kind of wish my truck had that. Yeah, it takes off pretty good. It's fun. Again, not a sports car, but definitely powerful for an SUV. More power than I was expecting. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that while I'm looking at this mild hybrid system in the XC60, the same powertrain is also available in the S60 and S90 sedans, and also the V90 cross-country wagon. We all love wagons here, so let's take a look at what this powertrain is like in the V90 cross-country. All right, now just a quick drive in the V90 cross-country, the wagon. This one has the same V6 powertrain that was in the XC60 I was driving. It's a really comfortable car. You sit a little lower to the ground, so it's easier to, get cargo in and out of. It's also easier to step in and out of, at least for me. And you've got the same nice, super premium interior. Some subtle differences. This one's got some nice wood grain and some more lighter leather, two-tone steering wheel, but it's, just as comfortable in here as it was in the XC60. And I'm just driving a little bit lower to the ground, but all in all, it feels like it drives very similarly because it's got the same powertrain. But pretty much what I wanted you to know is that this new mild hybrid powertrain is not only available in the XC60, it's available in the V90 cross country and some of the sedans as well. The 2022 XC60 starts at $42,650 before destination. That's for the B5 model. This B6 R-Design trim that I've been driving is close to $66,000, but it's definitely a very luxurious vehicle. It's nice to drive, and I really haven't had any complaints about it. They took an already great car that's selling really well for them, made it better, made it a little bit more efficient, and added some new tech to it. So I'm a big fan of it. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Don't forget to head on over to tflcar.com so you don't miss anything in the automotive world. Catch you in the next video.